This video is going to introduce you to the match function. So for this video, we've set up a set of data. When we think about match, it's going to be looking to match certain values that we're looking for. All right, so the function is match. And the first thing we're going to do is just type the function in and see what arguments it asks for. The first argument that it asks for is a lookup value. So what do we want to find in this table? For example, in this first column, we could find a specific borrower ID. So we might want to look for borrower ID 43237. That would be a lookup value in this case. We hit our comma and we see our second value is the lookup array. The lookup array is the range of cells that you want to look for that lookup value within. So in this case, we want to look within the borrower ID cells. So we can scroll down, Control-Shift down arrow to select the whole column. And now we're going to look in B5 to B10 to find that lookup value of 43237. All right, very importantly, almost all the time when you use a match function, you want to use F4 to lock that lookup range. Typically, your data is not going to be moving. And so if you're looking for borrower ID in that set of data, it's always going to stay the same place. So you want to use those cell reference, the absolute references to lock both the row and the column. Our last argument is the match type. So how do we want to match? For right now, we're going to stick with 0 for an exact match. That means we're looking for exactly what the borrower ID is. In a future video, we will look at using approximate matching for when we're not going to find exactly what we're looking for. So in this case, we hit enter, and we see the number 3. So what does the number 3 mean? What that means is it's the third element in the lookup array. So we could actually number these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what we see is 43237 is the third element down in the list. So that's what it means when the match returns 3. It's giving you the relative position of that lookup value in the lookup array. So let's change the example just slightly and actually add a lookup value as an input. So right now we have 43237. We can come back to our formula. Let's change that to make it an input. Remember, we want to avoid these hard-coded cells whenever possible. Now we're going to reference C1. And now if we change this dynamically to say borrower 23546, right, we notice that in our array, that's going to be the 5th borrower down. So now we should see our match value change to 5. We hit enter, and that's exactly what we see. We now have 5 as the answer from the match value. Now currently we've been doing this all as a vertical array. Right, if we click in here, we see we're looking up the borrower ID in a vertical array. If your data is organized horizontally, that'll work too. For example, say we want to find 23546, and we can change our lookup array to, let's use this lookup array. All right. At this point, my lookup array doesn't make a lot of sense, right? I'm looking across, both row numbers and borrower IDs and names and states, etc. So it's not a good example from an actual practical application, but we can just flip our orientation and make sure we get the answer that we think we should get. In this case, 23546 is now the second element in this array, where the first is 5, then 23546 is the second, Julie is third, etc. So now we see the 2. If we change this to WY for Wyoming, we should see the 4th element of the array, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's what we see when we make that update. So the match function is simply returning the relative position of your lookup value within your lookup array.